I think there definitely will be gainers and losers. Um, some of the gainers that I expect to see would be, in my view, I think the DeFi sector will benefit. It was the victim, I think, of regulation previously. Um, and I think the other beneficial sector would of course be gaming. So for similar reasons, if you could buy and sell in-game items, people thought they might be securities, and so I think there was a bit of a clampdown on that sector. So DeFi and gaming, I think, two beneficial winners under the new administration.
I think Arjun made a really important point just now about the institutional adoption. Do you think that cryptocurrencies or digital assets overall will become a larger component of institutional assets of portfolio investments? Will it become a fixed part, a bigger part of asset allocation overall?
I think you made a very good point, actually. And I think if you look historically, when we saw gold ETFs come in, the inflows in the first year increased dramatically in subsequent years. And I think you can expect to see that with the Bitcoin ETFs. And that's why my price target is for 200K. I think we will see higher inflows in subsequent years as Bitcoin and indeed crypto becomes a core asset allocation for institutional asset managers. So definitely.
Sid, can I just get a bit more clarity on your 200K price call? Is that something you see happening in 25?
Yeah, I think my price target for the upper bound would be in 2025. So I think anything in the range of 180 to 200K, just because I expect to see continued allocations from institutional investors through ETFs. I think the Bitcoin strategic reserve is another narrative that's beneficial. And I also just think that continued portfolio allocation to Bitcoin is going to occur. So that's my target. It is for 2025, in my view.
Sid, can we just, when we often talk about Bitcoin, we talk about these cycles that happen, and I sort of alluded earlier to the fact that this cycle's been slightly different. The all-time high was kind of hit before the halving. A lot of that on the ETF coming into play here as well. But often what we do see is when the all-time high is hit and it trades around that for a while, there are corrections, sometimes to the tune of 70 to 80% over a period of time, and then we get the crypto winter, as it's called. Is that something you see happening in this cycle, or has that sort of pattern been broken?
I think you'll, of course, see corrections. Crypto remains a cyclical industry. I don't think you'll see the same kind of magnitude of drawdown, that 70 to 80% that we've seen in past cycles, just because there is more of a buffer from those institutional inflows into the sector. But I think, of course, the flip side there is that it probably reduces the upside multiples that you see on Bitcoin from here. But I think one thing to pay attention to, Steve, is the amount of leverage in the sector. And we're just not seeing the same kind of leverage that we did in 2022. And I think that'll dampen some of the shocks and probably some of that downside volatility that we've seen in the past.
Sid, have we been disappointed since the ETF was established and obviously more easier mediums for people with their futures and ETFs to get into crypto? Have you been disappointed by the flow of retail and institutional money? I hear what you're saying about institutional money perhaps coming in and the strategic reserve being built up as well. But a lot of the copy I've been reading has actually been underwhelmed by the flow that it expected to see or has seen compared to what it expected to see.
No, I mean, I think that the flows have actually been good overall. I mean, if you look, even the IBIT now has close to 3% of the Bitcoin supply. I think we're now seeing some of the retail flows come into altcoins. And one of the things that you could see, Steve, in 2025 is potentially some ETFs for some of these other large cap tokens outside of Bitcoin. So Solana, for example, XRP. And I think you've actually seen some retail flows into those coins. XRP recently hit close to an all-time high. But was one of the big running coins of the Trump trade off the back of expectation of a potential ETF approval there. So I think that's something you could see in 2025 for retail flows.
And Sid, final one for me. It's one I ask all experts in this area as well, because I don't understand it. We spent this entire conversation talking about at most 3 different types of cryptos as well. Why are people bothering with the other 13,247?
Well, I think they're there's an expectation that this is going to transform the financial sector. I pay most attention to the DeFi sector, and I think that's where there is some of the most transformative stuff happening, like institutional lending and borrowing on chain, some of these decentralized exchanges. But that's, people are paying attention to this sector as a form of early stage venture. And I think that's what you're seeing a lot of the excitement on at the moment. I don't pay much attention, Steve, to the meme coin sector. But that is, I know, what a lot of people are focused on at the moment. But hopefully that corrects and we start paying more attention to things that are actually making a difference technologically.